Join Dalton and Jacob as they discuss the ever-changing world of trading card games. TCG Buzz starts now.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Dalton here from TCG Buzz, back at it again with Jacob.
I'd just like to say that was a really big build-up for your intro. He's sitting there going like charging all your energy, kind of. Maybe?
No.
You totally were.
No.
Today, we're doing, for the second time in, a month or so? We're doing a review/discussion on a new card game.
I guess so, yeah.
Because we did Dragonborn not that long ago. And
Yeah, something like that.
now it's time for Dragon Ball Super.
Ooh.
So we've talked a little bit about this game, actually, in our Dragonborn review, joking around about how we wanted to talk about this one as well. Right?
It's been so long I don't remember, honestly.
Well, we did. And now it's finally time. So you and I have both been playing the game quite a bit. So has Christian. He got into it a bit later than we did. But once the yellow control decks and rush decks called to him, he answered the call. So the three of us have been playing it quite a bit. Christian did want me to give a little bit of input for him. He just said, is good. He likes it.
Good input,
Yeah.
Christian. Good input.
He's busy being our producer today. Thanks, Christian. So
He says you're welcome.
I guess let's go with the really direct question. Do you like Dragon Ball Super's card game?
Does it have cards?
Yes.
Does it have Goku?
Yes.
Then there we go.
All right. So if you guys haven't seen any of our matches we've been doing with it, what are you playing in the game right now?
Well, first off, how do you know what's going out first?
I don't.
So
just a
stop.
good-
So stop trying to.
I'll make it work, man.
As I've somewhat implied, Son Goku, but not any Son Goku. Super Saiyan God Goku. I'm forgetting a few words.
Super
there.
Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, right?
I think so. That seems right. Goku.
SSGSS.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And
And what are you playing, my good sir?
I have two decks, but my big one is Broly. And I guess that kind of does segue us into colors, doesn't it?
Not really.
No?
We just said decks. We didn't say colors of decks.
Well, I'll force it to segue, man. So you're playing Son Goku as your main deck, which is primarily what color?
Blue.
Blue. How does blue play?
Blue kind of seems like your real green in like Magic, where it ramps up your energy / mana, which is kind of weird because that's where it's actually different.
That's what
which
I've
I
noticed.
Which I feel like kind of grabs people.
They all relate to one of the traditional like Magic style colors, but they're all swapped.
Slightly.
Slightly. We'll get into that.
But with blue, it's definitely energy ramp. It can at some points just be heavy draw, depending on how you build it.
I mean, it's the only deck with
But it's-
one drop with a draw 1 right now.
True. But it's definitely a resource.
It is your
Color.
Resource color, yeah. So my main color I'm playing right now is green. Green is very much your aggressive and destruction color. Lots of cards in green, which is funny because it bleeds over into red as well, which we'll get to. But there are a lot of cards that are very aggressive, or particularly, I guess the way I'd describe it would be disruptive.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say really aggressive or even
I mean, they're
destructive.
every
It's
color has
really-
a nullify, and green's nullify is the only one that destroys something on the field. So there is some destructive elements there. Very aggressive, I'd say.
Probably.
And very fun. But that's a little biased there.
I wouldn't
also,
know.
You wouldn't know, right? Because you're playing mono blue right now. Well, now my green deck is also partially red. And you run some red, though, don't you?
I run some red and green.
Yes.
So
That's
it's
right.
not a
You're
mono
weird.
blue.
You're weird. Red, once again, lots of destruction. But I also noticed, and we kind of discovered this earlier today while we were talking about Vados, the deck's also pretty good for toolboxing and calls.
Toolboxing and kind of just your true aggro deck, to be honest, because and I believe it's the only color with 2 destructions two destruction extra cards. You have the assassination plot, and then
Fickle Destruction.
fickle destruction. You're right. Fickle.
And then you have yellow, which minus Ginyu, which is very rush orientated. Yellow's your control clan. I mean, they've got cards that rest. They've got cards that nullify the opponent's abilities. They've got cards that make it so your opponent can't even attack for the rest of the turn. They're very much about control. And in the fact that actually they've got several cards that force rest the opponent's cards. But with each of these colors, there are certain cards that break the mold, which is what I like, because they each take some elements from the others, but each one just does one part of that better than the rest.
True.
Which is really cool, because you have so many card games where each color is very distinct and there's no crossover between what they do. Not the case with Dragon Ball Super. It's like the colors are slightly blended.
Well, I wouldn't say blended. I would say more it's because the characters are used in multiple colors. Right now, the only true source of that is Goku, Vegeta, Gohan,
and Trunks.
And Trunks. And Go 10.
Yeah.
So, like, the main Super Saiyans, I guess, are the only ones that are really kind of in two different colors or maybe three. So that kind of forces these decks to be so much more fluid or mixed when you come to build them.
So what about the characters in each? You mentioned some do mix, but I've noticed blue generally has characters from generally what you'd think of as the main Dragon Ball universe. You can find Goku's in there, Vegeta's, their good old pal Beerus, right?
I would put it more saga wise, the God Saga, just because that's where you have the Beerus coming in, Whis, and you kind of have that, and then the Super Saiyan gods, and
the Universe 7 main protagonist team happens to be in blue right now, primarily.
Red typically.
Red is your Universe 6 characters,
or your Champa saga.
And then you got some weird ones in there like Frost.
Frost is part of that.
That's right. And then green. Green has a lot of your...
Green is your OG Brawly Saga / Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Not so much Super, but it still kind of gets you to that point.
Then yellow is both Dragon Ball Z, specifically like the Frieza saga.
I was thinking more and Resurrected Saga.
But like Ginyu Force isn't in that.
No,
right?
Because Resurrected would be afterwards. Come on, man.
We've been ranting about this a bit, I think. Where do you want to take this? What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's kind of talk about these leader cards or the card types.
Okay, so we're just going straight into gameplay then?
I said card types. There's a difference. We're not in gameplay yet.
Okay.
Slow your roll. Slow your roll.
So leader cards.
Leader cards, very much in Force of Will.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, because Force of Will is a little bit smaller in our community here. It's a two-sided card, one that you start off with, and once you reach the requirements that actually awaken or flip over your leader.
I forget what it's called in Force of Will.
Yes.
Yes.
It kind of becomes more powerful. You get more bonuses off of it. So, like with my leader, in his base form, you basically get to restand one energy when he attacks. But then when you awaken him, not only do you get to do that, you get to stand an additional one and draw a card. But then again, a lot of leaders have the whole draw one.
At this point, every leader does, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a nice thing about it, is you do get that consistent draw off of it once it's evolved. It's awakened.
Not evolved.
And
that's a different mechanic.
It surprised me because, honestly, the whatever they were called, the two-faced cards in Force of Will really weren't that important, especially earlier on in the game. Whereas Dragon Ball Super, it's amazing how absolutely crucial they are to you throughout the entirety of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just some mechanic in the game. They are like what the entire game is based around.
I wouldn't go that far.
I like how important they are, though. So what else? What are the other types of cards?
Well, you have your battle cards, which are basically your main units slash your combo pieces. So you have a normal Goku that you can call to the battle area to do an additional attack, or a Krillin that can block for you. Just had to get that in there, that Krillin blocker. Or even when you're attacking with your leader on a different battle card, you can combo, which is kind of the same with what other card game?
I guess it reminds me of Vanguard's guard system.
I was thinking of a completely different one.
The fact that you can also guard your own attacks for extra power boost, which is really strange, but awesome.
What was it? Oh, I was thinking of Luck and Logic.
Who cares about that game?
I do.
But so you got your battle cards, which are kind of like your units or monsters from other games,
slash power boost slash buffs slash more advantage and so forth. And then you have your extra cards,
which are your spells, basically.
Yes.
At this time, one of the cards being basically a set spell.
It's a field, but yes.
Yeah.
But the only difference with extra cards versus most card games with spells or things to that nature is you don't run that many.
No,
you might run 6, maybe 8, but it's very rare that you're going to have a heavy built extra base deck unless they start coming out with more extra cards that can deal damage and yada, yada, yada.
Or fun stuff, or decks that rely on them. That probably will change as time goes on.
Probably, but we'll have to wait and see.
So that's all 3 types of cards.
Yep.
Let's just straight on go into gameplay then. Sound good?
Sure.
I like the big general questions. Do you think Dragon Ball Super plays well?
For the moment, yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is a discussion you and I have had: is what games does it play like?
Yes.
And it's sometimes not fair to categorize something being, it's just this card game plus this. But sometimes it's a great way to explain it to people who haven't tried it yet, In this case, what would you say Dragon Ball Super plays like?
Commander, but your commanders can always attack.
I always say it's my opinion, and we disagree on this, is I say it's half Cardfight Vanguard and half Force of Will.
And I told you, it's not Vanguard, it's Magic.
He disagrees with me. I think
because yours doesn't make any
being
sense.
Able to guard with your battle cards from hand is very similar to, I can't think, to Cardfight Vanguard. And I think, having to hit into the leader card and push your power over their power is very reminiscent of that as well. Plus, the fact that once they're awakened, you draw one every time they attack reminds me a lot of drive checks from Vanguard. But we are getting off topic.
And I call BS.
He disagrees. Let us know in the comments down below.
I'm just talking about your drive check thing. That's major BS.
Why?
Just major
Sure, you don't
BS.
get skills off them right away, but it's still extra cards in hand.
I'm just saying it's major BS because you always get a drive check.
Anyways.
Everyone.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the more unique mechanics in the game, I guess. First of all, there's the leader card itself with its awakening. And awaken relies on the amount of life you have, right?
Yes.
So I was kind of concerned when I found out the game has a total of 8 life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at first kind of concerned about that because 8 seemed kind of low to me.
Executioners.
Yes, but most card games stick to 10 or even more. I mean, there are exceptions like Vanguard has 6, Pokemon has 6, I guess, if you count prize counters. But those tend to be games that are slower and it takes longer to deal those damage. Whereas it seemed to me like this game would be faster. What I didn't consider when we were first in the very initial steps of learning about this is you want to take damage, at least at first.
Well, this is where I guess your Vanguard comparison comes into place because it's a limit break.
Yeah, I guess.
Once you hit a certain life.
Mm-hmm. And it's very important. I mean, one of the best decks in the game focuses on stalling and making sure your opponent doesn't get to awaken. That's Vegeta. That's a good strategy right now. I don't know if that'll keep being that way as more cards are introduced that let you deal damage to yourself, but we'll see.
Or results of training.
Mm-hmm. Ugh. But yeah. And I like the fact that they go into your hand to constantly keep your hand size up. I mean, unless you're playing against Broly, you're going to have a lot of options for different
Or
cards.
Vegeta.
I guess so. Sometimes. Because they have critical, which makes it so the cards, instead of going into your life, go from your life to your hand, they go to your drop area.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a pretty neat mechanic in itself, because it's pressure without necessarily, dealing extra damage or giving a power boost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What about some of the other keywords?
Well, we can talk about double strike or dual attack.
Let's go with the strikes.
I was going to do them both at the same time.
Go ahead.
Well, double strike is basically saying 2 crit instead of 1 crit, and dual attack is 2 attacks.
Yes.
So unlike in Buddy Fight where it's double attack, kind of being straightforward, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
they have dual attack. And I don't think we have a card at the moment that's 3 attack or triple attack or triple whatever it will be.
Now, we do have ones that go above double strike.
Yes, we have triple strike and quadruple strike.
We have quadruple strike. That blows my mind that in the very first set, there's a card with quadruple strike. There's only one, I believe, and you're never going to play it. But just having a card in the game already that with its attack kills half of your opponent's life is kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
That's why you have to get 2 out on the field. Yeah.
If you ever do that, I would be amazed.
Well, you're going to be the closest one to do it.
Yes. So how about that then? The reason we're talking about a specific card is Whis, and he's got this ultimate super finisher, which essentially guarantees you're going to win if you play it, but it's got a problem, right?
I don't see its problem at the moment, just because it is in the right color. Mm-hmm. There's just not enough major ramp
at the
for
moment. You're not going to be playing it very often because it has a cost of 12 energy.
Yep.
And energy is your mana, your gauge, your counterblast, whatever you want to call it in this game. It's basically just mana because of the fact that it refreshes every turn, or every one of your turns when you stand. Though it doesn't play like Magic's because you don't have specific cards for it, and it doesn't play like Force of Wills where you have an extra deck that you gain cards from. It's just like Duel Masters, where you choose any card from your hand and it's just based off of their color. Or if you've been playing Dragonborn, it does the same thing pretty much, but starts you off with 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you like that mechanic?
What, Dragonborns or Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball
or Super?
Dragon Ball Supers. Do you like how they did their energy system?
Well, I'm a big fan of Duel Masters.
Yes.
So you take a guess.
Yeah. I don't really have any complaints about it, but I'm really looking forward to seeing, games in the future where we have more energy ramp and there are really cool things you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because starting turns can be a little slow.
Well, depends on the player.
Yeah. Okay. So what next?
What next? You have permanent, which is basically like a continuous skill. You have main, active, main. No,
it's
active.
Main.
It's activation, main, activation, battle, and is there another one? No?
I don't know.
Well, those are your main 2, so basically it's one can only be done during main phase, and the other one can only be done during a battle. Mind you, I didn't say battle phase.
Right.
Because
there
is no battle phase.
This blew my mind. Like, what? No battle phase?
Because technically it's all one giant phase, so in a sense you can say you have an awakened leader, you swing, you can draw an additional card,
and then you
call something.
Call that card you just
swing,
even?
Call something else and swing, and just kind of do a bunch of shenanigans that way.
It was a little off-putting in the beginning because I'm so used to card games with very rigid, set up all your stuff, then do all your swinging, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like the word I have to describe it is just freedom.
I would almost put it on a sense of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, where you have technically two main phases, but it's just more blended.
Yeah, it's really cool, though. I really like how it works. Like, there have been times where I'm sitting here with just my leader card and nothing useful in my hand, and I'm like, well, I can call things from my hand now that might not be optimal, or I can attack with my leader, draw my card, and hope I top deck something really amazing.
Or in my case, gauge ramp, and then be like, well, I don't have enough to do anything else with the cards in my hand. Attack with leader, restand one, and then gauge ramp some more.
Yes, it's so...
Or energy ramp. Whatever.
That's honestly one of my favorite things about the game.
What, the energy ramp? Or
no,
the fact that
main
it's just
phase,
so...
battle phase.
Yeah.
I love how freeform your turn is.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
Can be quite fun.
Okay, so what about the combo system?
Well, the combo stuff is really on the sides of your battle cards. And it's going to have a mini circle with a number in it. 0 and 1 are the only two as of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to have a plus symbol, plus either 5,000 or 10,000.
Or 0.
Or 0. And then the card might have an effect where if it's comboed with something, it gives an additional effect.
Or a skill. Or like, or just a power.
Basically,
yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
So like, what is it? Power Boost Piccolo?
Yes.
Power Boost Piccolo, if you're at 4 life or less, basically it becomes a free 10,000 combo card that allows you to draw one card. Or even, what's the 3-drop Champa? Name? What's his
I don't
name?
know his name.
Well, what the 3-drop Champa, basically, you combo with it for 1 energy, and then you can give that card double strike, which is very good. Very good.
Wonderful. Whew. Yeah, I think the combo system is pretty good. We had an issue early on whether or not putting a card into the combo area counted as playing that card.
Yeah, for a while, but I think we kind of figured it out.
We used common sense to figure it out. And that is really one of my only complaints with the game is there are several times where you have to just use common sense to figure out a ruling. For instance, whether when a card says play that card or play this card, do you have to pay its cost? It doesn't say on the card. It has to be common sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the big issues. There's nowhere really, unless you really do a deep dive in the rules, to find out if combo cards count as being played. And in general, no, they don't, but there are exceptions. And that's one of my only criticisms with the game. You should not leave things up to common sense because people are not smart.
Or everyone's common sense is different.
Yes.
Because you can always argue two different sides easily.
But
my only complaint about comboing, though, before you go on,
go ahead,
is the fact that turn player who's entering an attack has to put all their marbles in either with their attack, add their combos then, and they can't really respond, which I guess technically is fair, but
it's kind of cool.
It's more...
It's like a gamble, like a risk versus reward thing, which is cool. But yeah, I do agree with you that it would be nice to have some way to counter the opponent defending.
Like, even if it was you have an additional, after your opponent combos, you get one additional card to combo type situation.
Maybe they'll release special cards that let you,
counter combo.
Yeah. Would be interesting.
Because there's some cards in the game right now that can knock out one of your opponent's combo pieces, but if you're attacking, you can't really use that effect.
Only for defense. Like one of Jacko, I want to say his name is.
Yeah.
Forms. That bounces one. Okay, so we've talked a bunch about the gameplay. That's really all I have to say about the gameplay itself. Do you have anything else?
Well, right now, I feel like it's a pretty fast-paced game, maybe 25 minutes just because...
Unless you're playing Beerus versus Ginyu. Or another weird...
That was roughly about 28-ish minutes, so it's still 25-ish. So it's still within that fast pace. It's only going to get faster from here on out, unless they build more Wally deck styles.
Yeah.
Now what else do we got here? What else we got?
So sometimes when we're doing these discussions, just random things we want to say that don't really have full discussions, just random small things we want to mention, I have one of those. Is it time for that?
You always have one. What are you talking about?
I would just want to put out on the table that I've been around, played many card games, seen many games come and go, and I think Dragon Ball Super had one of the best and most balanced launches of any card game I've ever seen. I can't think of another in recent memory that did as well right when it came out. You don't really have a comment on that?
I only have a complaint about it because it was Trial Deck 1 and Booster Set 1.
Yes.
There might have been a slight time gap. I'm not sure. I might be thinking of
I think
Dragonborn.
they came out the same day.
I might be thinking of Dragonborn as well. But mind you, only one trial deck. I would have liked more variety initially, so you could have done a Goku versus Frieza right off the bat. You know, have
or anything
counter, or even a Vegeta or something like that.
I think that is a complaint I'd have too, because I'm like, hey, you can get into the game, get this cool Goku trial deck that 4 other people are already playing.
Exactly. So say it's a bunch of people who are new and they just bought a bunch of cards for their one card game, and then they just have enough money to buy a deck. Well, it's not going to be really fun because
to be fair on the other side to that, though, it is surprisingly easy to build a competent deck in this game from booster packs.
Well, yeah.
So that's that. I mean, even like budget decks are really going to be interesting to see, because you can build pretty strong decks without running any rares even.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Speaking of, rarities and all that, should we go over how Dragon Ball Super does its rarities?
Pretty basic, if you ask me.
It is very basic. You have common, which you get a bunch of in a pack, because a pack is 12 cards, right?
Just keep going.
You have uncommon, which is, slightly more rare than a common. Then you have rare. You get at least one rare or higher card per pack. Rares have a okay-looking foil to them, right? Their foil reminds me a lot of Pokemon foils, actually. And then you have SR, super rare, which I believe they're like 4 or 5 per box, something like that. We haven't opened enough boxes and you've opened a few, but haven't really paid attention, right?
Nope.
And then you have SPRs, which are special rares, which are like your SPs from Bushiroad games, or what would be
Secret Arts?
Secret Arts, yeah. They're just shinier versions of SRs. That's the entire rarity system. 24 packs per box, 12 cards per pack.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep. And honestly, there aren't that many rares in the game that are that pricey or, even that crazy good, right?
As of the moment, they have yet to realize their potentials yet.
And there are 2 SRs in the game that are decently pricey, Broly and Beerus. And all the other ones are really cheap. I think the next most expensive is Ginyu, who's like $6. So your value really isn't that high from a box from them
Yet,
but there's an asterisk there, because you also have commons and uncommons, which I was really surprised. There are a lot of commons and uncommons that are decently pricey right now, right?
yes.
Sensu Bean is like $4. Majin Buu, the one-drop Majin Buu that draws one, is like $4. These are commons. You've got a whole bunch in blue. There are a couple in other colors, but mainly blues cards.
Why blue?
Because it's really splashable into any deck, and they're just the best staples right now.
I guess so. Yeah.
I think the 3-drop Champa is also pretty expensive. But there's got to be a good 10, 15-ish commons and uncommons right now in the game that are over $1 a piece.
Yeah, so It's probably because what would you say a typical pricing for a box is like?
Oh, don't even get me started on that. I have no idea.
I want to
honestly
say
don't.
maybe 90 to 100.
Something like that.
It could
Maybe
be 80
if you can find a good deal.
if you could find a good deal for it. So you might not be making your money back initially if you sell everything out of it.
Pull an SPR.
I guess, but you're still making decent money off of it somehow.
Especially with the fact that you're getting 11 commons or uncommons in a pack. You're getting a lot of those $1-ish, $2-ish cards, which is actually kind of nice. I like that. It actually makes me care more about my commons and uncommons. I kind of don't hate that.
Yeah, it's all the same to me.
And there's one more thing I'd like to touch on with how Rarity is done. There's something called a God Pack. And I just told you about this morning, right?
Or is it this afternoon?
Maybe. Who knows? A God Pack is a very rare pack. We're still trying to figure out the rarity on them. They're at least 1 in 3 boxes. My guess is it'll probably be like 1 in 5 boxes. And it is a pack that's a God Pack. You get 10 rares in a single pack, and you get 2 SRs altogether, which is really neat. I mean, like, no one in our group has pulled one yet, but when we do, that's so cool. And it's actually a mechanic I wish other card games would do. Because, like, you open it and you're like, it's all shiny.
Well, technically speaking, some Bushiroad games do this.
It's secret packs or SP packs. Yeah, I guess. You are correct.
So it really does depend on...
But not with 12 whole cards like that.
They only put 5 cards per pack. Calm yourself. Calm yourself.
But it's really cool. And it's kind of funny because it's, like, cool because you get all those shiny cards, but you're also like, put those sweet staple commons. All right, so what else?
I ain't got none.
You don't got nothing to talk about with this?
We already did all the talkings.
Okay. So how would you rank this game as of now compared to other card games? Like your
other new card games or other card
games? What games do you like it more than / less than? Where does it go in Dalton's list of favorite TCGs? Would you like me to go first?
Whoa. I wouldn't say no favorites.
Okay. I'll say I like it a lot. I will say that at this time, it is grabbing my attention way more than that other new card game, Dragonborn, which I think is also a pretty good card game and has some really unique features. But Dragon Ball Super is really the one grabbing my attention of the two. Would you agree with that?
I don't know.
I'd say it's one of my favorite card games right now.
It's somewhere.
Wow.
It's somewhere.
Oh, Dalton's keeping it all secret. Oh, confidential.
Well, number 1 is always going to be Buddy Fight. And then everything else is kind of there.
Yes.
So, unless something can upstage Buddy Fight. Like Looking Logic did for a while. It's going to be kind of hard for a new game or new games to kind of find their way through to me.
Wow.
I got to be honest. So anything else on your end?
I do want to talk about something regarding that, actually. We've seen other card games come out, like Luck and Logic.
Back off my games,
that
man.
Did not last. And there have been, Force of Will as well. And there have been fears about that. There are fears about that with every new card game. You know, is this something that's going to die off in a couple sets, or is it going to stick around? What do you think about this game's chances?
It's better than its other newcomer.
Okay. I would agree with you on that. At least right now it is. I also think it's got a high chance of success just because of the brand behind it. Because there will be plenty of people jumping on board of this, now that the Dragon Ball Z card game's done. And just people picking up packs, out of curiosity because they're Dragon Ball fans. And I think that might help it keep going. And the fact that it's already got quite a large community right off the bat is really going to help it and keep it going for the next couple sets. And the first couple sets are always the hardest for a card game. And I think Dragon Ball Super's got a leg up when it comes to that. What do you think the future is for Dragon Ball Super?
Super?
It's Super? Do you think we'll see serious organized play? Because that is something that's kind of lacking right now.
Well, geez, the game just came out maybe a week
I want
or
to
two
play
ago.
competitively, man. I want to use Broly, and I want to make everyone cry.
So you're gonna be crying? Is that what you're telling us?
Wow. No, but it's a good game. I think we can say that, right?
Mm.
And I'm really excited for its future. And I'm looking at Booster Set 2 already and seeing the spoils we're getting from that, and I'm really excited.
I like the new rare foils.
I like the new foiling. And I like some of the new characters they're bringing into the game and whatnot, and I'm excited for more variety. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we end the episode?
No, just the ending of the episode.
Ooh, one more thing. Art.
Or two more things.
Art.
Or three more things.
Art?
Or four more things.
What are we doing here?
Or five more things. I don't know.
There have been plenty of other anime card games that just use still images from their animes for the cards. And Dragon Ball Super has a couple cards that do that, but largely they're original art. That comes from another Dragon Ball card game, which is Japanese exclusive, which is kind of similar, but kind of not. But I have to say, I really like the art that they're using on the card game. It's big, it's bright, and incredibly colorful, and it really catches the eye.
It's bold.
It is bold, which really is so different from the other new card game.
Yeah.
Dragoborn has really nice art, but a lot of it's very dark and drab, which is not bad. I like that, and it's really cool to see Bushiroad's take on that. But it's interesting how card games go about that differently, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But I give Dragon Ball Super an A+ for its art. All right, I'm done.
Are you sure?
Yes,
I thought
I'm
you
done.
still had 4 other things after that.
No, I'm done.
Are you sure?
Unless there's something you know of that I want to talk about, then I'm forgetting.
So make sure to like this video.
Oh, no.
Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit that bell to get the notifications, though. Share it with your friends, especially your Dragon Ball friends.
And
Check out our shop. Link will be in the description down below. I'm going to make sure Jacob can't talk for the rest of this episode.
forgot about the comments, man.
And, leave us your comments. Tell us what you think of the game or what you suspect from the game in the future.
And let us know if you want more Dragon Ball Super content.
Did I say you can speak?
Wow.
Christian, matter of fact, just cut him out.
Wow.
Remember, y'all, stay classy.
Thanks for listening to TCG Buzz. New episodes can be found on tcgbuzz.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For box openings, deck profiles, and more, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.